A very good evening to you all, and welcome to a Data with an Interset programme number 241 here on March the 2nd. I hope this finds you well. Now, you will have realised that we are unfortunately not live this evening. I'm really sorry. At the end of last week's programme, I was trying to remember all the things I wanted to say in my wrap-up, but I omitted to say one of the most important things, which was that unfortunately I can't be with you live this evening because I am playing the organ at St Andrew's Church in Surbiton for an evening service. You will recall that I do this from time to time. So apologies that I didn't give you notice of that. I hope it doesn't spoil your evening. The thing we do when we have to record the programme, for whatever reason, is we do it as near as we can to a live experience. That is to say, we live record the whole programme. I don't stop, so if anything goes wrong, it goes wrong, just like it usually does on a Sunday night. You know the routine. Of course, the crucial thing that is missing when we do record the programme is yourselves, because I do rather enjoy the chit-chat, the banter, well, most of it anyway, that goes on in our chat room, our friendly chat room. So I really hope that you will keep doing that, even though I'm not here with each other to discuss the music, the composers, the context, what it reminds you of, what you're eating, what sort of week you've had in this turbulent world in which we live. And hopefully our 45 minutes of music will bring a bit of solace, a bit of comfort to you wherever you are. I would just say that as I'm recording this, and it's fairly early on Saturday, the sun is currently streaming away, which is rather nice. At least something is streaming, even if I'm not live streaming. We have had some nice bright days, haven't we? But the nights are still pretty cold. Anyway. So because you're not here to chat with, you get a bit more of me just chatting away to myself like a blithering fool, I'm afraid. But I will say that our opening music, which you may have typed in by now, and I do look forward to reading the comments, was the theme music to the 1981 TV series Game for a Laugh, left to right, Matthew Kelly, Sarah Kennedy, Henry Kelly and Jeremy Beadle. And that ran for 4 years, I think, to about 60 episodes. A practical jokes show that, sort of delighted and alienated people in equal measure. It was of its type, shall we say. As indeed was that theme music, that lovely theme music, composed by the late Mr. LAURIE HOLLOWAY. You may recall he passed away in early January this year. He was the musical director of Engelbert Humperdinck, as well as for the Parkinson Show and the first two series of Strictly Come Dancing, an amazing pianist and band leader, Mr. LAURIE HOLLOWAY, and he composed that theme. He also composed things like Blind Date. But that was Game for a Laugh, and the reason for doing that was it's been a bit of a week, hasn't it? We lost the very lovely, gentle, genial Henry Kelly this week, who started his life as a journalist in Ireland, and then suddenly decided in his early 30s, do you know what, I want to be a TV presenter, and so Game for a Laugh was his first outing. I always used to think that he got a bit overshadowed by the more boisterous varieties on that programme. I'm talking about Matthew Kelly here and Jeremy Beadle. But an interesting anecdote for you about Jeremy Beadle. I took a group of school children to sing in a massed event in Wembley many, many, many years ago, and Jeremy Beadle was actually the host. And a couple of us went down to say hello to him, and he could not have been nicer and spent more time speaking to all the students. He was such a gentle, kind man. That was Jeremy Beadle. So when Henry Kelly got his own series, Going for Gold, he really seemed to come into his own with that lunchtime quiz program. Bit of an oddball program, but it did run for quite some time, the European quiz show Going for Gold. So on the day that I heard of his passing, I did put up a little tribute, and I was going to just show you some pictures of my tribute, but to be quite honest, it's so short, I think I might as well press the button and you can have a little reminder of the Going for Gold theme. So quite an iconic theme tune. I, as always with these sorts of things, always remember the theme tune, but not too much about the programme itself. But the fascinating thing, I think, about that theme tune, which we played there as a little tribute to the lovely Henry Kelly, was that it was composed by Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer, who is now sort of absolute mega stardom, Hollywood. He who composed for the Batman films, Pirates of the Caribbean series. He's head of DreamWorks music production, and that was one of his earliest successes. He says he's very proud of that one, and it paid his rent for many years, so good on him. It's a cracking tune, actually. So that was our opening this evening, a little tribute. Again, I apologise we're not live. We'll do our best with some bright music to make it an enjoyable programme. Please keep chatting away to each other in the chat room, and do enjoy our first piece of music this evening. needed to shut that little band on the piano up. They were bashing away a little too loudly at that point. I do hope you enjoyed that rousing start, and I feel sure that you would have already typed it into the chat room, but that was, of course, all the way from 1927. Yes, 1927. So 98 years ago. Strike Up the Band from the musical Strike Up the Band, composed by Mr. George Gershwin, with lyrics, of course, by his dear brother Ira. And Strike Up the Band was an interesting animal because it was a satire based on the military and the war and bands and things like that, and it did not go down too well. It was not a success as a musical at all. Possibly it was a bit too raw after the First World War, and indeed at the time of the Great Depression. You know, it was not a happy time and not the time to be joking about such things. Perhaps that's the reason. But the net result for the musical world is we get that fantastic theme song, Strike Up the Band. We also get The Man I Love as songs from that show. So from 1927, our opening one this evening was Strike Up the Band, as always. If you like what you see, and indeed you hear, it's probably the hearing that's more important than my silly pictures, do press the thumbs up button. Make sure you press it on the left, otherwise I get a thumbs down, which does happen, I'm afraid. Well, that's if you like it. Press that thumbs up button. It will really help the channel. Ditto if you're not subscribed to this channel and you've happened upon this merry little video this evening. It's YouTube, so it's free to subscribe. Just press that subscribe button. You get a choice of things you can do at that point, whether you want all notifications or some notifications. But I say this every week and I cannot stress it enough, and I'd love more of you to make comments on the videos and indeed this show. It is the likes, the thumbs up and the comments that help the YouTube algorithm to find me. And somewhere out there we've got some 600 and actually I don't know, I'm afraid. I think I've got 637 subscribers currently. Somewhere you're lurking out there. Have a look at the channel, see what we've been up to if you've not visited for some time. So I hope you enjoyed that one. As I say, because we're not live, I am recording very early on Saturday, and the sun is currently really strong. I can feel it through the curtains. And in honour of the sun and the hope eternal of spring, I have a sort of spring-like tie with some sort of blooming tulips on them, as designed by Mr. Yves Saint Laurent. I shall have a sip of coffee and then we will go into our next piece of music. Do enjoy. We've been talking, haven't we, the last few weeks about songs we haven't had on A Date with a Dinner Set for some time. And there's another one we haven't had. A lot of tonight's songs we haven't had for over a year. That was, as I know you will have typed, well, I think you'll have typed at least the musical. It was, of course, from Les Miserables. And Les Miserables, composed all the way back in 1980, celebrating its 45th year this year in 2025. And that was the beautiful song from Act 2, Bring Him Home. And it's one of those musicals that is through composed, if you like an opera. And of course, very famously written around the Victor Hugo novel of some 100 years earlier. And the composers of that, some familiar faces from last week: Claude-Michel, Schönberg, the musical writer, and Alain Boublil, the book and the lyrics writer. And you can see behind them in that picture, Miss Saigon. We had a song from Miss Saigon. Those two are their biggest successes so far in a 50-year partnership. And I think that's a very beautiful song. It's one of my more favourite ones from Les Mis, is Bring Him Home, all the way from 1980. And I've spoken about this before. I do try and make a connection from week to week between either composers or songs. So there's a sort of ongoing narrative, if you like, on our programme, A Date with a Dinner Set. There'll always be a connection from one song to the next, usually because something I play or the way I play it, or something you say, actually, it's quite often something you play, actually reminds me of something. I think we must have that one next week. So that's what's going on with that one. So I hope that, as I say, the fact that we are not live isn't spoiling your enjoyment of our programme this evening. It's very good to see you, and thank you so much for your continued support. If you would like to make a little contribution to keep our little YouTube channel running, it's quite stunning how many hours go into it from this end, especially in a week like this where we've actually had 3 musical uploads. You can always buy me a coffee. I always say that, I know, but via ggthepianoman. And I have a PayPal link which is beneath this video. So if you look underneath where you're watching now, if you wish to do that, there's been a PayPal link there for years. It's been there for years. And any coffee money that pops up in that account, it doesn't usually buy coffee, actually. It buys more practical things like petrol and electricity, etc., and gas. But there is a link, a PayPal link, www.paypal.me/ggthepianoman. I keep talking about it. I can really feel that morning sun now coming through. It's warming me up. Maybe it's the coffee as well. Speaking of which, I'll have some of that before we move on with our next one. We haven't had this one for over 2 years. But I think you'll know it when we get there, when we get to the chorusy bit. Do enjoy. hope you are waltzing around your rooms. Well, I wouldn't say in the car if you were listening in the car. It's probably not advisable. Or at least jigging along with that wonderful waltz. It's one of the first waltz tunes I actually learned by accident. Or actually not accident. A happy osmosis. My dear father, when he thought I wasn't listening as a child, he would very often sit down at the piano and play, and it would all go in, these tunes, and that was one of the first ones that I learned. It comes all the way from 1932, and I'm going to guess that you have typed in that it was called Lover, that waltz, and it came from the musical film Love Me Tonight, which famously starred Maurice Chevalier and as sung by Jeanette MacDonald. But the interesting thing is that in the film, it wasn't sung in that sort of quasi-romantic, swirling, grand waltz sort of way. It was sung in a sort of comical way in the film, apparently. But I just know it as a really, really nice standard, if you like, waltz. And it's composed by Mr. Richard Rodgers in his partnership time with Lawrence Hart. We've had Richard Rodgers and Hart. I think this is the third time in 2025 we've had songs by them. Prolific writers, almost as prolific as the partnership of Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein. So from 1932, that was Lover. So I hope you enjoyed that one. I'm going to say once again, welcome to A Date Within a Set programme 241. I'm sorry we are not live as is normal. I omitted to let you know at the end of last week's programme that I'm playing the organ this evening for a church service, so unfortunately cannot be with you. So in addition, gosh, we're in March now, aren't we? That's why the sun's come out, isn't it? We're in March. In addition to it being March the 2nd now, a very important day today, of course. You will appreciate this, I feel sure, that March the 2nd is National Banana Cream Pie Day. I know, it was on the tip of your tongue, wasn't it? Either the title of the day or indeed the pie itself. I'm not sure what I think about that one. There were lots of pictures of banana cream pies for today. I went for that one. Let's just say it has a homely sort of feel to it. Yes, aesthetically, it's homely, isn't it? I'm not even sure what I think about banana cream pie, but maybe I'm biased because I don't like nanas. Don't like nanas at all, I don't. Well, actually, I do like those very tiny, teeny ones that you don't see very often these days. But you might have some views about a banana cream pie. You might even make one. Judy, I happen to know that you do a mahusive creation involving bananas. Actually, I think that's banoffee pie you specialise in, isn't it? It's probably very much similar. Yeah. To my little eyes, it looks a bit too gunky and sickly and sweet. Not for me. Anyway, we're celebrating it today, and why not? March the 2nd is National Banana Cream Pie Day. Here's another one we haven't had for some time to enjoy. So, of course, if we were truly live, I'd be looking at the screen and seeing you all typing in the name of that lovely, lovely, lovely song all the way. Well, actually, it was composed in 1966, Something Stupid. And it was, I've at last found, I've been looking for years actually, a picture of its composer, Mr. Carson Parks II. Yeah, and he first sang that in 1966. He did the very first recording of his own song. And then he made jolly sure that it was heard by Frank Sinatra's management company. And Frank and his producers absolutely adored it. And they all thought it would be an excellent vehicle for Frank's daughter, Nancy Sinatra, to sing. But of course, as we know, what actually happened was it became a duet, father-daughter duet, Something Stupid, in 1967, the Sinatra version of Something Stupid. And that went to #1 in 9 countries. It stayed on the US #1 spot for 4 weeks. There have been numerous covers since, and the one on the right with a rather startled Mr. Williams and Nicole Kidman from, I think, 2001 was also very memorable. A nice comedy version is around on the internet of Dame Edna duetting with Will Young. But the ones that you've got on the screen are really the ones to listen to. Beautiful, beautiful song. Something Stupid, composed by Carson Parks from 1966. So I said we've had a very busy week on A Date with a Dinner Set. On Friday we had our last animal upload of February, and this one has taken more than 30 years to do. Let me explain. I've been trying to learn this blimmin' piece for years, well, on and off. Not that enthusiastically, because I find it rather hard. But I have to say that during February, I've done several hours on this upload every day, but I'm quite pleased with the result. Some people I know don't like the sound of a honky-tonk piano, but the upload on Friday was one of Mr. Zez Comfrey's amazing novelty piano hits. In fact, his most famous one, Kitten on the Keys, composed when he was awoken at night by the sound of his grandmother's cat stomping all over the keys. So that was the upload on Friday. I've put a link beneath. Please do give it a look and remind yourself of what Kitten and the Keys is about. I did have fun doing it, I have to say, and it was quite satisfying finally to say, yes, now I've learnt that. I'm not convinced I'd ever play it live. It's far too hazardous. And I lost track of the number of takes I did trying to record that video. So all of these are good reasons to have a little jolly listen to Kitten on the Keys and perhaps leave a comment underneath it. That is on the channel. As I say, there is a link directly below. Okay, so it's quite interesting, isn't it? I'm watching the clock here and thinking, do you know what, we're going to overrun today, and I haven't even got you to chat with. I'm clearly chatting too much to myself. But it has been a busy week on YouTube, and I've had a busy week as well. So I've had a lovely week because it's just been absolutely solid music every day. And it is going on like that as well. Really busy time, which is nice, I think. Okay, have fun with the next one because I intend to. I'm not quite sure how it'll turn out. But hey, let's enjoy it. And again, I know you will have been typing in that was, well, meant to be Mack the Knife, and indeed in places it was Mack the Knife from the Threepenny Opera, composed by Mr. Kurt Weill, composed in 1928. And not like that, it wasn't composed, but it was popularised in the 1950s, first of all by Bobby Darin, then by people like Frank and Ella and Tony Bennett, and it became a really, and Louis Armstrong, a very upbeat jazz standard. And that's always a bit of fun, and never quite know where we're going with that one, or where we're going to end up, but we did end up somewhere in a sort of collapsed heap. And our version of Mack the Knife from 1928, we're very nearly at the end of our programme this evening. So we did as I say, it's been a busy week and a sad week. We've had a number of losses in the entertainment world this week, and earlier in the week I put up a little tribute to the wonderful Roberta Flack, a unique, iconic talent, a really truly beautiful voice. And so I put up a cover version of her famous hit from 1973, Killing Me Softly, with his song. And the way she delivered that is just absolutely superb. And of course I can't do justice to it on the piano, but I wanted to sort of do a tribute to a great lady, a great voice that passed away. I think she was 85, 86. So she's enjoyed a really lovely life of doing what she does best, singing in her way that she does. So that's there on the channel as well, and there should be a link for that. There's lots of links beneath this video. Do give them a look if you'd like to have a listen to Roberta Flack, the great Roberta Flack, singing Killing Me Softly. And so we're going to move now into our final bit of music on tonight's A Date with a Dinner set, a very, very quiet still end, and continuing in the same thread, if you like, as I was just talking about. We'll play this one, then we'll say goodnight in our usual way. Do enjoy. And that was where she all started. That was her breakout hit in 1972, the first time ever I saw your face. It was a cover, but it was the start of an amazing career for the lovely Roberta Flack, who passed away earlier this week. So that little contemplative end does bring us to the conclusion of this evening's A Date with a Dinner Set programme 241 on March the 2nd. I'm going to apologise for the fourth time that we haven't been live this evening because I'm playing the organ. But I will be here next week, and I hope you will be too, truly live on A Date with a Dinner Set on March the 9th. In the meantime, please have a very safe week, and let's hope it warms up a little bit and we have lots more of this sunshine. Thank you so much for listening and your comments, which you will have made, which I will look forward to reading when I return. Take care of yourselves, and I look forward to playing for you live next Sunday evening. All the very best. Good night.